Hi there, this is Nick Devine from The Print Coach, and welcome to this coaching video. We're going to be talking today about 4 habits that you can use that can help you grow your sales and improve the profitability in your business. In the type of work that I do, I get to look inside of businesses right across the global printing industry. So we have clients in, I think, in 14 or 15 countries around the world at the moment. And we do a lot of survey data and we talk to a lot of our customers. And I get to see what the difference is between people who are doing really well in the industry and people who are struggling a bit. And one of the things I notice is there's 4 particular things that successful printers do that people who are struggling in the area of sales and profitability are not doing. And we're going to be talking about those 4 things in a couple of minutes. When you use the 4 habits that you're about to learn, you are going to end up with more power in your marketplace, and you're certainly going to have more power compared to your competition. And if you're not doing these 4 habits consistently, your competition are going to have an advantage over you, and if they are doing this and you are not, and they'll be the ones with power in your marketplace, because companies and people who are consistent in this area are the companies and people who have the most influence in their accounts. They're the people who customers want to buy from, and they're the people who get the sales and get the profitability that they're actually after, and they're the people who achieve the goals that they're after in the business. Because people who don't do this fail to attract what we call loyal clients who buy from you on a repeatable basis. So the more that you use these habits, the more likely you are to achieve the goals and objectives you've got for your business, and the less you do them, the less likely you are to achieve the goals and objectives for your business. Now, I came across this idea first when I was studying some work by a gentleman called Dan Sullivan, and he calls these the 4 referability habits. And he noticed, and he runs a company called Strategic Coach, so they coach entrepreneurs all over the world, so exactly like we do. And he noticed in his work with his clients the same things that I noticed in my clients. Now, he categorized them as habits. And one of the things about habits is habits are things that we do on a repeatable basis. So they're not necessarily disciplines where we have to make a conscious effort to do them all the time. They're a habit, so it's just done on a repeatable basis, exactly as you would get up in the morning and you brush your teeth and have a shower, whatever it is you do for your personal hygiene. You just do it, you don't think about it. And that's the nature of habits. They're done really without thinking about them. And it's said that successful people form the habit of doing things that unsuccessful people are not prepared to do, whether they feel like doing it or not. When I first heard that, I thought, actually, yeah, sometimes I really don't feel like doing stuff like this, but if I want to achieve things in my business, I really need to do it regardless of the fact whether I feel like doing it or not. Now, the principle that's behind this is the principle of integrity. And when I studied this first and I thought about it, and I thought, am I a person of integrity? And I would have quickly said yes if anybody asked me if I was a person of integrity. But what I realized was when I looked at these 4 habits, actually, there were a surprising number of areas where I was completely out of integrity in terms of the way I behaved in my business life. And I set about fixing those, and I'm further ahead now than I was then, but I'm not where I want to get to yet. So I wouldn't say even at this stage that I'm a person of 100% integrity. But what I would say is I do pay attention to it an incredible amount these days, and I'm very careful in this area. And you'll see good examples of this as we'll go through, so it'll be clearer about what I'm talking about here. Because this is really where your reputation is built. So the reputation you have with your clients, the reputation you have with colleagues, and the reputation you have with industry peers. It's all built here. So the first habit is show up on time. Now we may go, well, yeah, there's nothing insightful about that, so I have an appointment, of course I'm going to show up on time. Well, show up on time turns up in 3 particular ways. So the first place it shows up is actually if I've said I'm going to be someplace, and whether I've said I'm going to be someplace at an industry event, at an internal meeting, or with a customer, so all 3 areas, I either turn up on time or I don't. There isn't a halfway house. I was either there on time or I wasn't there on time. The second thing we want to do is we want to turn up prepared. So again, internal meeting, industry event, or with a customer, I'm actually prepared. So I've done the background work and I'm ready to make the meeting or whatever the situation is I'm in effective. And the third area, this is the one where the printing industry struggles most, is if I've made a commitment to a customer to get them an estimate, get them approved, or get them a delivered job at a particular time, on a particular day, that it's there by that time on that day. And if we're not good at that, customers are less likely to want to buy from us on a repeatable basis. They're less likely to give us more of the business that we want to get from them, and they're less likely to refer us to other people that they know, like, and trust. So these are real basic fundamentals in business, but it's the basic fundamental things where often it's very easy to go off track. The second thing is, so we said turn up on time. The second habit is do what we say. Now, when we have a interaction with somebody, so whether it's a customer meeting, it's internal, or it's an event, an industry event, sometimes there's follow-up actions. In fact, many times there's follow-up actions. What we want to do is we want to make sure all those actions are followed up. They're done when we said they're going to be done, and they're done without anybody chasing us. Now, we may go, well, I'll do the customer ones, and usually I'll get them done on time. Sometimes they're a bit late. I'm not so good internally, and I'm not so good kind of generally in the industry. If I go to an industry event or something and I say I'm going to do something, I'm less effective at doing that. We want to do it in all three areas, because that's where we build our reputation, and you'd be surprised the impact that that has. And sometimes it's obviously not going to be possible to get something done when you said it's going to be done, and there you then manage the expectation. So if I've said to John, and I had this actually last week in our business, I said to somebody I was going to get something to them on a particular time. We had problems doing that. It was some technology we were creating. We had problems with the technology when we did the testing. It failed the test we had, so we had to redo some code. So I had to go through the process of ringing up the person we were working with and say, listen, we're working on this, we've done some testing, it's not doing the thing I wanted to do, so it's going to be another couple of days. So it is that process of just proactively managing. The third thing is finish what you start. So we call these people in business finishers, completers. So when they start something, they do the whole way through to completion. So there is no, well, John, I've started it and I'm working on it. It's John, I've started it, I'm working on it, and it'll be finished at 3 o'clock. So I'm focused on the result as opposed to the activity of just going through the process. I'm actually interested in producing the result and getting it to where it needs to get to. And then the fourth one is saying please and thank you. We might, when I heard this, I thought, well, I say please and thank you. I'm fairly polite. And what I realized is there's actually a lot more to this than sometimes meets the eye. So I'll give you a couple of places where this might turn up. One of the mistakes I used to make when I started selling, and I'm going back now 20 plus years ago, if I was meeting with an MD or a director in a company, I'd pay a lot of attention to the MD or director, pay maybe less attention to the receptionist or the PA or the doorman or the security guard or wherever else I was going to have to pass on the way getting to the director that I was meeting. And when I began to realize everybody talks to everybody, everything gets noticed, and you have no idea who's talking to whom inside an organization and what they're saying about people. So I developed a reputation where I treated the doorman, the receptionist, the PA, the secretary, the gatekeeper, and the director all the same way. I treated them all on equal footing, and I noticed that really made a difference. And the other thing I got good at doing is actually sending personal notes to people. This is the thing I'm actually still working on. I'm still not where I'd like to be on this, but I'm a lot better at it than I used to be. So if somebody does me a favor, they give me some business, we send notes out, I send bottles of wine out, I send books out, we send all sorts of things out, really to acknowledge the fact that somebody is supporting our business and efforts. Because sometimes people do things for us where they have a choice of either not doing it or a choice of doing it with somebody else. And if they've done it with me, I want to acknowledge the fact that they've done that. So I reinforce that good habit. Now, we all know those things make sense, but if we look at all four categories and go, how good am I in all four of those areas? Sometimes we may see ourselves maybe falling short a little bit. And that's not something we want to be doing. We want to be playing full out. So we want to be on game when we're in situations like this, when we're playing business. Because business, it's fun, but it's played with a serious intent. So here's what I want you to do so you integrate these ideas actually into your business. So my request for you is really simple. For one day, just a single day, I want you to take all four habits and integrate them into a single day. And you can use the handout that I've prepared for you, so you can get this without any money, it's free. So use the handout, stick it up, print it out, stick it up on your desk, and just check for one day, how effective am I in these four habits? Now, if you're listening to this in the morning, maybe you've just come into the office and you're listening to this, do it today while it's fresh in your mind. If you're listening to this and maybe in the evening or in the middle of having lunch or something, print it out, stick it in your diary for tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, stick it up wherever you're going to see it all day long, and just focus on the 4 habits for the full day and go, am I on game with all 4 of these habits for the full day? Now, to get hold of the handout, all I request that you do is make a comment on the video. And here's what I want to know, and we're going to use this for the blog, is what did you learn? So having gone through the 4 habits, and if you've used these 4 habits before, any one of them or more than one of them, what results did you get? So what did you learn? And if you've used any of the habits before, and I'm assuming to some degree everybody has, what effect or what result did it produce in your business? Now, this blog is important for the printing industry. We put a lot of effort into this blog. Hopefully you can see that. I want to keep it going, which means I need your interaction. So this is not my blog, it's not Nick Devine's blog, it's not the Print Coach blog, it's the print industry's blog, which means I need your involvement in it. So please do make a comment in the area that I've just requested very politely, and I will say please and thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next coaching video. That's all for now. Have a great day.